Hey everybody, we back again.
Hello. Yeah.
Okay. I'm Spencer, and of course we have our licensed clinical therapist, Naz.
Dr. Nas.
Yep. And this is the Different Spectrums podcast where we talk about movies, shows, and the mental health aspects that surround them. We also like to have some laughs, so don't take us too seriously.
Or do. It's up to you.
There you go. Don't forget to run up those likes for us. We'd really appreciate it. So before we get to our guest, go check out Bubs Naturals, Cure Hydration, Silver Dollar Candle Company, and Pinfinity. You can get 20% off Bubs, Cure, and Pinfinity if you use the code DSP and DSP20. Go to our link tree, and then you can find all of those on there. So that will make it a little bit easier for you. So go do that. And then also check out our merch. We have some cool stuff. I'm wearing some of it right here, right there on our guest screen, right down there, because she's down there for me. So I don't know. She's probably like on the side.
Yep, she is.
I knew it. Goddamn. And with that, we have a special guest today. She is a mental health advocate and counselor, and she is also the creator of whathadhappenedwas.com. Please welcome Mandii Brown.
Hi, y'all.
Look at that.
She's getting nervous. I can tell.
Yep.
Yep.
Yeah.
I know. Just talking before the show. Now it's just like.
See my pressure on the hot dog?
Okay.
You'll get your seat next. Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it.
We'll be fine.
Yeah. All right. So today we were checking out the movie The Batman 2022. Yes. With Robert Pattinson. And today we're going to be taking a look at two scenes about choices or not having them. Also talking about imposter syndrome and getting close to people. I know, right? Gross. Some of the characters we're going to be looking at is Bruce Wayne, Selena Kyle, and then Alfred. So, Nas, anything before we get into the scenes?
So, as always, shout out to California. I made a mistake the other day. Minnesota is second, but then it's New York, then it's Indiana. Jersey, still fighting in there. Whoever you from the small town of Flanders, appreciate you. Of course, I only get the data information from Spotify. Apple doesn't give me the information, so that could be all wrong. I don't know.
We don't know.
Yeah, we don't know.
We don't know where it's coming from.
I try with the data. Check out the link tree for all the self-help. I've been seeing a lot of people click on that. There's all the free mental health apps. There's tons of worksheets. I've got dot-to-dot things. I got coloring things. I got fidget things. Go in there and check that out. I'm excited to talk about some of these scenes. There's a lot of scenes to choose from within this movie and a lot of different themes. We're going to be very specific in curating these two scenes. And then I'm excited to therapeutize it. And what had happened was with Mandii. That was the website, right? I did that. I did good.
Well, what had happened was.
Yes. I was close.
Yes, that is the website.
No, that's
almost.
That's the website.
You got to drag it out, though.
What had happened was.
Still missed the first word. It's what had happened.
Like, what had happened was.
Well, you might want to change that.
WHHW.
It has 3 dots at the end.
Yeah. No.
So you got to do a little pause.
Yeah. So, I'm joking. All right, let's chop it up. Let's get into it. Let's have some fun. I'm excited to continue all these special guests that we're having in these random DMs that I threw out there, having panic attack the entire time. Like, what if they say no? Yeah, I know. So I'm excited to do this. All right, let's get into it. Whoop, whoop.
Whoop, whoop.
You didn't read the script, did you? You're supposed to say whoop, whoop.
I did, and I got nervous. I just read a book. Whoop, whoop. That's why I did the.
Yeah. It's like, is the roof on fire?
They can't hear your hands on the podcast.
The roof is on fire.
There you go.
Jesus.
Don't be surprised.
Okay. Arsonist? All right.
Oh
We're
my
done.
god.
I mean, the
Get to
way
the
Batman
clip.
is set up, the way Riddler's set up, hey, go for it.
Please.
There we go.
Please get to
Well,
the clip.
we do not condone the burning.
We do
Okay.
not condone arsony.
No, we do not. Want someone to call though? My dad can help you out.
Oh my god. No.
I'm not gonna keep that in there. I'm not gonna.
I know you're not. I know you're not. Yeah, what?
Yeah, he'd be like, "It's true."
Oh,
Dynamite. All right.
Man.
Hey everyone, before we get into the show, please check out our collaborator, Bubs Naturals. They sell a variety of health and wellness products, including collagen peptides, MCT oil powder, coffee, apple cider vinegar gummies, and other amazing products. Go to bubsnaturals.com and use our code DSP20 to get 20% off your entire order. And with that, let's get into the show.
Cat burglar pulling another score.
What?
Wasn't sure I'd see you again.
Yeah, well, things were getting a little hot for me, so... How could they do that to her? That piece of shit cop, Kenzie. Her body was in his car. I'm gonna find him, and I'm gonna make him pay. You gonna help me?
Help you?
Yeah, I thought you were vengeance.
Your friend got involved with the wrong people. She didn't know any better. Maybe you should have explained it to her.
What the hell is that supposed to mean?
It means your choices have consequences.
Jesus Christ. Choices? You know, whoever the hell you are, you obviously grew up rich.
Was it worth it?
What?
Compromising yourself for money? What'd you have to do to set up that score? How close did you have to get? To Penguin? To Falcone?
You don't know what the hell you're talking about. Falcone owes me that money.
He owes you.
Yeah, and a lot more.
No, really. Why's that?
You know what? I can't even talk to you.
No. I want to know why a guy like Falcone would owe you anything.
Because he's my father! My mother worked at the 44 Below. Just like Annie. She used to take me there when I was a little girl.
To the club?
Yeah. I hid out in the dressing room while she worked. Used to see him there. He scared the shit out of me. And I could never understand why he looked at me the way he did. Then one night, my mother told me who he was. When I was 7, my mother was murdered. Strangled. Never found out who. Probably some creep from the club. Anyway, social services came to take me away, and he didn't say a thing. Couldn't even look at me. He owes me that money.
I'm sorry. What is that?
That's all right. You assume the worst in people. Which, well, maybe we're not so different after all. Who are you under there? What are you hiding? Are you just hideously scarred?
Yeah.
Listen to me. If we don't stand up for Annika, no one will. All anyone cares about in this place are these white, privileged assholes. The mayor, the commissioner, the DA. Now Thomas and Bruce Wayne. I mean, as far as I'm concerned, that psycho's right to go after these creeps. I think you'd be on his side.
What do you mean, Thomas and Bruce Wayne?
What, do you live in a cave? The Riddler's latest, it's all about the Waynes. Listen, if I can find that dickbag Kenzie, will you help me? Please. Come on, vengeance.
Just don't make any moves without me, understand? It's no more dangerous than you know.
I told you, baby. I can take care of myself.
I'm Thomas Wayne, and I approve. You lied to me. My whole life. I spoke to Carmine Falcone. He told me what he did for my father. About Salvatore Moroni.
He told you Salvatore Moroni?
And my father killed. Why didn't you tell me all this? All these years I've spent fighting for him, believing that he was a good man.
He was a good man. Listen to me. Your father was a good man. He made a mistake.
A mistake? Get a man killed. Why? To protect his family image. His political aspirations.
It wasn't to protect the family image, and he didn't have anyone killed. He was protecting your mother. He didn't care about his image or the campaign, any of that. He cared about her and you. And in a moment of weakness, he turned to Falcone, but he never thought Falcone would kill that man. Your father should have known that Falcone would do anything to finally have something on him that he could use. That's who Falcone is. And that was your father's mistake. But when Falcone told him what he'd done, your father was distraught. He told Falcone he was going to the police, that he would confess everything. And that night, your father and your mother were killed.
It was Falcone.
Oh, I wish I knew for sure. Or maybe it was some random thug on the street who needed money, got scared and pulled the trigger too fast. If you don't think I've spent every day searching for that answer, it was my job to protect them. Do you understand? I know you always blamed yourself. You were only a boy, Bruce. I could see the fear in your eyes, but I didn't know how to help. I could teach you how to fight, but I wasn't equipped to take care of you. You needed a father. And all you had was me. I'm sorry.
Don't be sorry, Alfred. God. I never thought I'd feel fear like that again. I thought I'd mastered all that. I mean, I'm not afraid to die. But I realize now there's something I haven't got past. This fear. If ever going through any of that again. losing somebody I care about.
All right.
In case
So,
he dies and comes back in the movie.
I like
so after those confessions, welcome back, everybody. Welcome back.
that. We're back and we're live.
Yep.
I can't really think of anything because I just confessed about 5 things. Nope, I need to edit this again. We're back and we're live.
There you go. Let's
Yeah.
move on from that.
Is
Yep.
live. Is
If we were
Batman
live, oh my God. Sometimes I'm like, maybe we
relationships?
shouldn't go
This
live.
would be bad.
Yeah, no, we can never be live. So yeah, no, where's live is Batman's relationships, which is not doing well. So we are not
Not
live.
great.
Yes.
No.
Yeah.
All right.
I lost it.
So,
I lost it.
yep. Just let it fade and let it go. That's
We're
fine.
live.
All right. So the first thing to take a look at. Actually, before we get into it, Mandii, can you please tell us a little bit about yourself
Yeah.
and what made you want to come on to the show?
Who in the hell are you?
Yeah.
Yes. are you?
Who am I? Should I do it in a riddle? No, I won't because it's too much. My my name is Mandii Brown. I am born and raised in Chicago, but I currently live in Nashville, Tennessee. I am the cognitive behavioral specialist down here for Tennessee maximum security prisons for men and women. And I'm also a counselor on the outside with the free folks. Ooh. I am the creator of What Had Happened Was.com. It is a safe storytelling website, also with mental health facts and resources that follow behind it. And I also help align people down here in the Tennessee area or anywhere, honestly, with a therapist or any mental health professional in their network or outside of their network. Definitely a lot of success stories behind that. The stories I do get people options to add their name to it or do it anonymous. So I do have the best of both worlds. And then there are those who don't want them published. They just want somebody to read them, to get it off their chest. And I validate those experiences and also still connect with them as well. So I love what I do. And what else am I? I'm a social activist down here, very big in the community. I do work with the mayor's office in the criminal court system. And I'm a mom of my little baby Yoda, Zachariah, who is in the back making noise. So yeah, I juggle a lot.
Okay.
Nice. What made you want to get into the mental health field?
Ironically, I didn't. I
Same.
grew up wanting to, I'm not gonna say once, it was a force, and this is just a joke. I don't take it too seriously, but my dad wanted me to be a legal drug dealer, aka a pharmacist.
My dad wanted me to be
and
one too, just not illegal.
Right.
Opposite.
And I got into pharmacy school everywhere, actually. I have very good grades, and I realized that wasn't for me, and I wanted to be a teacher. And so I went to school for education and social work. Yeah. And crazy enough, teaching kind of, especially in Chicago, what I was doing, branch span into the mental health field. I was literally the only teacher in my department that could connect with the students and the parents.
Facts.
And not end up in a fight. It was great.
Facts.
Right.
These parents used to come to the campus and slice and dice tires, fight teachers because they were not being heard. I mean, it was bad in Chicago. And I was the only cool one. And when I came, I was doing great numbers. The test scores went up. The students, less fights. And I realized it's because that I created that safe space for my students and those parents to be heard and judgment free from the environment they live in. I live in it too, and I grew up in it. So I'm I'm from the hood like y'all from the hood. So let me validate what you're going through and not make you feel like you're judged because your child is still in this predicament. So that alone made me go back to school for my master's in clinical mental health counseling. And that, just opened up the door to everything on top of my own personal experience. But my students and those parents literally were the key to that door.
There you go.
Nice. That's amazing.
And maybe if you want it, not that you need it, but if you want it, future Dr. Brown. So we'll see what you decide to do moving forward. It's exciting. We're going to talk a little bit about something what you just said and then relate it to the first scene that we watched in a second. Spencer, you have any more questions for him?
Not at the moment, but you know what? We'll get into them once, we start dabbing into this movie here. All right?
Yeah. Thanks for coming on. I'm glad.
Thank you.
I think you either liked or you commented on something, and then I decided to reach out to you, be like, "Hey, are you a counselor?" And you were like, "Yeah." And I was like, "You ever want to join a pod?" And you're like, "Sure." And then I give you the description. Now it's much more formal because I actually have calendar thingies, and it's nicer now. But when I first sent it to you, I was like, "Sup?"
You low-key slid.
Give me a time. What does he mean?
Yeah, you were probably like.
What's crazy was you guys popped up on my feed a lot before I followed, and then me and my friend in Chicago will watch you all's reels and then watch the movie and debate back and forth. And then I followed, and then I started commenting and stuff. And then it's like, "Oh, hey," he's like, "Thanks for sharing." I'm like, "Oh, no problem."
I was
I'm getting into it.
I'm always wondering, when I'm sliding into people's DMs, I'm not creeping on you. I am not creeping.
I just want you on my show, okay? That's it.
Trying to get that money, son. That's the face too. No one can see the face, but it's triple chin, and then I'm holding my hand. Well, they can't on the podcast.
3 chins, no neck. That's what we like to call it.
Money.
Look at that. With your purple shirt on. Wow. Really, really intimidating with that purple shirt.
So I'm glad. Purple shirt and a doctorate.
In the background.
Yeah, I can see my graduate teacher and my master's. You're not a thug anymore, Nas. You got a master's degree. I'm like, put on some pants.
That means nothing. I have met some very educated felons, okay? And I think they are way smarter than me.
Yeah.
Problem is he has a Bulbasaur on his shoulder as the same
right,
and he's just like, "Bulbasaur, bye."
I'm glad that I'm not giving off a creepy vibe. I wanted to say something real quick. One of the counselors that I had come on the other day, they just booked to talk about The Bear with us, because we did it once, me and Spence and Colin, but we really weren't able to record any scenes because we weren't sophisticated yet.
True.
And she goes, "I felt very at home when speaking to you and very comfortable." And I said, "Yeah, no, that was just really cool to have another counselor say that." Because, I'm not, I'm insecure about my texting because, dyslexia and shit like that. I'm not the best. And it takes me a while to respond to some things. And to see that I'm even comforting via text. And, the perception with dudes is you slide into DMs, it's going to be something weird or fucking creepy. So I'm having to combat multiple things at once to come off as a decent human. And I think this is a good description on that I am. We're going to get into the scene. One horror story. I remember I was talking to one person last year, and I was like, "Hey, thanks for sharing something." And they're like, "Oh, sure, this is awesome. I enjoy the page." And I'm like, "Yeah. I love your @ sign, and your @ your @ is your handle." And they're like, "What does that mean?" Because I'm thinking they think that they meant something else, like the tush or something. I don't know. Because I like your @ and the handle. I guess I could have put handle. I don't know. And then I got nervous and the dyslexia kicked in. I just typed in a bunch of weird shit.
I'm going down this road. I'm just gonna keep going till there's no end in sight.
It was so bad. I just said, "Yeah, I did like it." It was something funny. It was something really funny that a student. It made me think of a student. And I was like, it was something about yoga, and I was like, my student would love this fucking handle. So that's why I commented on it, because I had the autism moment where I boom, student, and then I just had a full-on conversation with the student about their handle, which I ended up having the following week.
Right.
but I had it in my head. And so hilarious. Side note. So I've come off creepy once.
I think the best part is that you are on the page, the business page, not your own page, reaching out. Because if that's the case, like, I would ignore this.
That's fair.
My
I
name's
get a lot of DMs on a daily basis. I'm like, we're gonna
gross. Yeah, no. My first name's Charlie, the last name's Wilson. How you doing?
Charlie Wilson.
What's the song? First name's Charlie, last name's Wilson. Do you mind, girl,
All right.
if I
On
take
that
you
note,
out?
let's get to the movie.
Get to the movie.
Yeah. Jeez. All right. So this is a new iteration of the Batman series, starring Robert Pattinson. And in this first scene, we have Selina and Batman talking on top of a building. Before Batman had Selina go undercover with like a contact that let him see and hear everything. And so after that, now they're on top of the roof and she's talking about choices and how Selina reveals that Falcone is actually her father. Then there are some great, I love the part where Batman is pretty much being told that he has that he's hideously scarred underneath, but it's more of like inside that he's scarred. I have inside scarring. I'm fucked up inside.
Oh,
I
damn
got
it.
your Batman voice.
Batman.
It's not working.
Damn. So getting into the scene, I kind of want to know first, Mandii, why did you want to pick the Batman first?
I know why. She likes damaged men.
Oh, well.
I'm sorry.
You know, I thrive in toxic relationships, and you know, Batman and Catwoman are very toxic for each other. You know,
They really are.
Yeah.
They really are.
All
you
right.
know, a rich emo kid and a girl that loves to get back at people and steal.
There you go.
Yeah.
That's all you need, really.
Thrive in it. No, I actually grew up watching Batman.
Fair enough.
So it was definitely like one of my favorite series. Mine has been Affleck's version. I actually despise that one. But this one was very different. I think the director did a great job. And it caught my attention. It was actually more modern feeling than I thought it would be. And so I was like, oh yeah, I can actually relate to this. So let's do it. It's definitely more relatable. This Batman is more relatable. The other ones are fantastic, by the way, but this one definitely has your focus on Bruce Wayne, you know, himself, Batman, not the criminals and the people and stuff like that. Like it keeps going back to him and his family and his identity and everything about him that they hint at, but typically overskip. Right? It's like, you know, he's gonna rescue people, he's gonna save Gotham, da da da. No, this is like the focus on him. So I thought it was really good.
How would you say the choices that, or maybe the not so choices that you have would relate to the mental health field, or at least how you view it?
Well, here we go. Let's define choices. Okay. Are you speaking of the choices that he made or his family made on behalf of him to create who he is now? So it's like, which choice?
I think more about her when she says, you know, I didn't have any choices. So more, let's talk about her. Because this scene is very based on her. It can get into him. There's enough people talking about Batman. This is mostly a podcast listened to lots and lots of women, lots of people of color. Let's talk about her and her supposed lack of choices that she says. I think people can identify with that in this scene. So can therapize her in her emotions.
I definitely can. So small hint on her background. Mom gone. Dad gave her up to the system. She had to fend for herself. She keeps saying, I can take care of myself. Don't worry, I can take care of myself. So that means she was forced to be independent, not by choice. Wink, wink, nod, nod. And growing up how I did, I can empathize with her because I had the exact same thing, just a different scenario. So in reality, when you're forced to take care of yourself as a child, everything pretty much is in a way kind of a trauma response. And you're learning as you're going. And so her saying that she didn't have these voices, she really didn't. It's not like she could turn back and say, well, I can get some money and pay for this, and someone's going to take care of me, or a cousin's going to come pick me up, and blah, 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 blah. No, she was forced to be in a system that she didn't have to, but, well, of course she had to, but if her dad wasn't shit, but she didn't have to. And she grew up from that. Everything she learned is basically from the streets. And so she was telling him, like, you have these choices. You had these choices. You had a platter. I didn't. So don't look down on me or judge me because my mindset is not the same as yours.
Right.
And it's like, boom, in your face, Batman. Yeah.
So that scene probably for you was like some representation in some ways.
For sure. I mean, especially as a counselor down here, I think when I was in my internship, I had a rough first month, and I was the only Black woman at that practice. And honestly, I was probably like maybe one of three in my program at that time. And so, and I'm non-traditional student. I'm a single parent at the same time while I'm in school. And so the other interns like, well, I can be here all hours of the day and blah, blah, blah. I'm like, well, I can't. I need a set schedule. I have to work. I have bills to pay. I have daycare to pay for. And I would still like go to work, but tune into my trainings. And for that, my supervisors used to look down on me and felt like I wouldn't be competent or be able to catch up or follow along because others were there while I was doing part of the stuff virtually. And I'm like, no, I'm more than capable of doing this. I'm beyond capable. Like, don't look down on me because I'm taking a different route than the other ones that you hired on. If anything, in my mind, I'm probably better than them because I can relate to the clientele that they have and they can't. So yeah, for sure. I thought Selena was a badass. I was like, tell a girl.
I think a lot of people relate to her in that moment, although a lot of us are marginalized or grew up in tougher systems, less choices. So you just have to, we'll get into the next scene, but you just play the cards that you dealt in life, and some of us dealt really shitty hands. We don't get to choose what gender, what orientation. So we don't get to choose our skin color, what country we live in. And so my clients will report why I think so hard. Is it always going to be like this? And life is tough. And you come across people like Batman that are privileged, and obviously he has a ton of shit because he's an orphan. And that's the point that you brought up, is that he now has, you see him softening as he hears her story and sees that she is also an orphan. I don't think he would have softened without that orphan part that you brought up. I think that was a turning point for him. I think also he was attracted to her, so that was a thing too. There was also some badass vibes where he was like, cat lady. Well, maybe Catwoman, not cat lady. Cat lady's a different vibe. A lot of cat ladies on this podcast too.
That cat lady.
I mean, technically she was a cat lady. She had like 6 cats, and he was like, you got a lot of cats.
There you go.
Yeah.
Like one of my
she's
clients.
a cat burglar, so that also helps.
Yeah. Double cat.
So many cats.
The trifecta is, I had one client that said, I always taste my cat food before I get to the cat. And I said, I'm across.
God.
She said,
I want to ask, but I won't.
She said, you're judging me right now, aren't you? I said, I'm not going to lie. It's hard not to.
Very hard judgment.
Hey, one of my neurodivergent humans that are just like, hey, I want to know what my animals are eating. And I was like, I don't think you need to know.
Not that bad.
Shouldn't say thank you. Definitely don't need to know. That's a definite no.
If
Inquisitive
the cat
minds.
is enjoying it, we're gonna leave it alone.
Inquisitive minds. Sometimes we need to know why.
Why?
Sometimes we should leave it alone. Just stop there.
Well, as you know about hyperfixations, we can't let it go.
No, good. Good.
Yeah, I've had the taste for cat food ever since. So I've been losing weight.
You know what? What?
I'm joking. Okay, pivot.
Yes, pivot.
I think it's super interesting because, like you, in some of these scenes, I was kicked out of one of my internships in my master's and almost kicked out of my master's program because I'm a different mind and I relate to the clients, and they're all sitting around me. They're all sitting around me in this ninth grade school, and this white lady definitely didn't like the way I talked, the way I held myself. Didn't like that I wasn't any counseling experience before. I wasn't a social worker before. I was an exercise science student going into physical therapy. There was just a lot of barriers. There was a lot of, I can see that they were triggered by my complete existence. I did a few things wrong, yes, but there was no teaching. I'm not going to fully get into more of the story, but all the kids are surrounded by me. I'm talking about video games. They're all having a blast, right? We're actually doing the programs the right way. And yet I get kicked out. Interesting. The next place I go to, my boss, black woman now, says the best intern she's ever had in her career. I was one of the few interns that she's ever called a friend. And I've helped her with things moving forward in her career at her university that she's still the director of. And then, she's older, so she's not the best with computers and some of these things. So she picks my brain here and there. Even about policies, I've helped her make some policies. So it's interesting. You could be trash to some people or bougier people, and then you could be God's gift to others. This golden nugget of information, love. And so I'm going to go on a neurodivergent route. I know a lot of people of color want it. I get this. I know a lot of gay folk will get this. But a neurodivergent route is we will often be seen as less than. Because maybe we can't articulate ourselves. We're not normal. We got different color hair, whatever it is. We're flamboyant with some of the things we wear, or we only wear black clothing, whatever it is. Maybe you're like Mandii and you collect, damn it, what did you say that you collect? A ton of anime related things and like just
everything.
Everything. So, right?
Everything.
I've had clients like you
8
that
corners in our house.
So
all dedicated.
I
was like,
I have baby Yodas. I have sunflowers. I have a Hunter collection because that's my favorite anime. I have my One Piece corner. Like, yeah, it's chaotic. Whoever's my husband, if you're listening, get ready. Okay.
And well, here's the interesting thing is that, and there's a Yoda. I have many clients that will be just like you, black or brown, and they will say some of the things that they like, and people will say that they're not black enough because that they don't fit the monolith of what black people are supposed to be, and so there will be so much hate and internalized hate and depression and camouflaging that we go through because of the things that we like, and then we'll see people that look down on us because maybe I speak differently. I know I have ADHD. The other day I word vomited some stuff in a meeting, a big meeting, about the affirmative action that we had. And, I ended it with, I hate all humans. And I said, I know I'm a counselor and I'm saying this, but most of you suck and you know it. And they're like, no, not everyone sucks. I'm like, no, all of us kind of suck. Chill out. I was a little volatile in the moment. And so my boss later on, I said, did I misspeak? And she was like, no, I thought you were fine. You just word vomited. I said, I word vomited because I hit about 50 different points when most people can't even figure out how to nail one point. I'm like 50 steps ahead of people. Besides the point. In that moment, I could be seen as judged or unintelligent, right? Different. And I feel like that's what he did to her. He judged her based on a lot of different stereotypes. Woman, slang, doing her thing in the club, maybe some other stuff on the side with drugs, Falcone, black, a lot of different stereotypes in there. And I feel like counselors do this even with their clients. And they're like, oh, they're supposed to be caring. I'm like, girl, you racist as hell, Karen. And Bethany and Tiffany. And Mandii.
Well, he judged her based off of, okay, so the context, he was supposed to look from her perspective, but he was still looking from his eyes through hers. Yeah, I got to do that because it's like, it pissed me off. If y'all can see my hands, it's moving a lot right now.
She reminded me of my mama. Yeah.
It made me mad because it's like you had the opportunity to see it from her eyes thoroughly, and you still was on your own mission, quote unquote, and forced her to do what you wanted. And then when she veered off, you were still mad. And even then you still judged her each time she looked at another person when you told her to look at that person. So it's like, you can't make him happy. So might as well do what you want to do anyway. I mean, that's kind of how I feel. Like, if I'd rather ask for forgiveness, even though I rarely do, than permission. I can't make you happy, so I'm going to do what I want
that's the
and please
Catholic
myself
way.
first.
Catholic way. If you want a bike, you go steal it, then ask God for forgiveness. You know?
I want to buy.
Sorry, Catholic listeners. Our
Sorry.
bad.
Hey, I'm Catholic, so it's fine.
Are you?
No.
I knew it.
For what, you know, Batman, he knows everything. Like, right? His right is the right way. It's the right way. Did I say that correctly? White way?
In his
White
mind,
way. Right way?
yeah,
White
way.
White
the
way.
legacy that he thinks his family left is the right way.
I use that to be sarcastic because he sees it as very privileged way, which is the
Yeah.
right way. But in his mind's completely polluted now because of the depression and grief. So is it the right way, or are you solely based on vengeance?
Well, he is the Prince of Gotham, so
yeah. I mean, that whole place at Gotham is like a shithole in New York.
It is. I mean, I would also say he also, you know, judges her because he sees people who commit crimes as like evil, and that he has to, you know, that's who he has to beat, and that's who he has to get rid of, is people who are criminals. But then he also sees that, you know, they're criminals because of their surroundings and what they're around, and so you know, they're doing what they have to survive, and you know, unfortunately, he has to make that judgment on them and finds out that, oh, wow, they're actually people too? What the fuck? This is weird.
He doesn't see, even if they're people, in him, it's like either you're the victim or you're the criminal. Like, it has to make sense in his mind. There can't be any in between. Even in the beginning, if you saw like that fight scene with all those little boys, they're all little boys in my head, but those group of men and that one victim from the train, like at the end of the day, you're supposed to be saving the victim, which he did, but he ended up terrifying the victim, plus the boy who didn't even want to be there in the first place, and then the entire group. There was no in between. He judged them all the same, just spared the two.
Right. And honestly, with that, though, he also helped one of the kids in there, though, that was thinking about being part of like that gang or that group of people that were going around beating people up. And so in some way he did help save them, but at the same time he was just like, you're a sickness. And you're like, oof, that's not good rhetoric.
Yeah. And this is that.
If you look at it,
go ahead.
Yeah. I was gonna say, if you look at it in a weird way, because it's popped up in my head, does he look at himself as superior or above everyone else, like kind of God, like to make that decision? Are you a villain or a victim, and how should I help you as such? Like, who gave him that power?
And it could be power. But real quick, before I forget, Spencer wanted to do that scene that you just brought up, because it's about who do you choose to be with, and why do you end up choosing to be with them. So a lot of these kids, my kids, when I was working in Minnesota, they were coming out of Chicago and the South Side, not a lot of choices. One of my boy goes, you know, I don't want to die like this. I said, what happened? He said, there was a drive-by and almost got killed on winter break. Come to my office, we start doing therapy, and he graduated. Where his friend that didn't come to my office, who was supposed to be mandated to come to my office, showed up once. I don't force anyone to be there. And then he ended up dropping out of school shortly after because he just could not get his shit together and get off the weed. It's too bad too, because that boy that dropped out just like his brother, and I loved his brother. But it was best for him to drop out. So back on track. Good scene there, his choices and the sickness thing. I think as a counselor, you get so used to seeing the same shit over and over and over and over, and you see the depression and the trauma and the assaults, and you're like, there's no joy here. Especially if you're doing a lot of intakes, like our normal regular guest, Vicky. You're doing intake after intake. You don't get to see anything good, no progress. You don't get to see them get to the next step and the next step. And so there's a lot of intakes in higher ed. And I don't get to do a lot of long-term treatment. I do, but I have to manipulate my schedule to get them in, which I've been in trouble for many of times, because I cheat the system a lot. So I said to the bosses, you see, you don't fucking understand. You're not seeing these kids. You don't understand these stories and stories. I go home someday and I hope that Thanos was real to destroy the world. Snap. I have those days when I say, and I just told you about how I get mad and said all of us suck as humans because it taps into something in me. It taps into some old trauma and stuff like that where I'm just, why aren't people better? I don't know why. So I don't know if we're deeply flawed or not, but whatever.
But we know the answers to that. No, the answer is no.
We can be better though.
We can, but when we ask ourselves that question, that means we have expectations of thinking that people can be better. In reality, if they don't want to, the answer is no.
True. And the good thing is I use my superpowers and your superpowers because we probably should have grew up a little different. By different, I mean we should have grew up to be worse people than what we are.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm using all my superpowers that were passed down to help people, to save lives, to create change, so I can change the world. And so are you now.
Yeah.
But boy, I could have been a hell of a salesman and anything I wanted, and possibly like a CEO, just taking control and embezzling and fucking over people and selling them shit that they didn't need. Sounds fun.
I probably would have been dead.
Yeah, you probably would have been dead. Well, I mean, technically,
Yep.
I should have been dead many times now. Sometimes I tell that to students.
Yeah.
They're like, I don't know how I got here. I said, you? The fuck are you talking about? You're talking to an enigma, imagination. You're talking to a ghost. I'm supposed to have been dead. And they're like, what are you talking about? And then we go into story time, which we're going to get into after this. For the next scene. So we talked about some of the privilege of having money, some of it being white, some of it mostly being economics. We talked about him empathizing, the orphan thing. Talked about her finding her own voice and then getting him to pull some emotion out. We talked about choices. I think it's one funny thing, then I'll be done. Since he's the stoic person because of the depression, Spencer, and like the trauma and all that, he feels very Aspie to me. My little Aspie reserved Colin of the podcast. Right, if you put a Batman mask on him, he does it on Snapchat all the time. He'll do the Batman mask with him and his daughter, and I'm like,
yeah,
oh,
that's Batman. He sent me an anime because that Snapchat that has that anime thing. Yeah. And he sent me his, and he was just shredded because he had a muscle tee on. It literally looked insane. I was like, oh, yeah, I'm gay again. Damn it.
Again? Where'd you go last time?
Right. Questions that need answers.
He hopped out of the closet again.
I don't know if they need answers. So I completely lost what I was going to say now. I got distracted by his bosom.
Now you're just thinking about his muscles.
Right. He went back to the other side.
The other side. Jesus. It's fluid. Everything's fluid. Who says that? Who says that everything's fluid? Is that Aaron Rodgers? It's fluid.
Probably. Yeah. It's great coming from him.
Someone says fluid. I don't know. But I see this with a lot of my individuals that are more emotional, more just in touch with them. Specifically, it's my women that are maybe more anxious or more neurodivergent. They'll get with some of my very neurodivergent boys that are very stoic, and they're like, "He doesn't love me." I'm like, "No, he told you he loved you. He just, he said it. He said it once. Now you should just know." I'm joking there.
That's not how we operate.
I know. But for some of my neurodivergent men, we working on a lot of emotional intimacy. We work on a lot of nonverbal cues. We work on love languages. We have to build cognitive empathy on why your partner needs some of these things to make sure that they don't feel crazy. This is in all relationships, but specifically with my individuals that are more stoic. They do love you. They love you to death. They would probably die without you. But to say it repetitively feels nonsensical. And so we work on a lot of different things to make sure that their partner feels loved, doesn't matter what gender. And so I also thought about that, on how he feels very neurodivergent. This is a neurodivergent podcast, so I thought there should be some teaching in that scene. That if you're on either one of those sides, make sure that you're empathizing and communicating with your partner to either pull out or understand. That way you can continue working together as a team. Otherwise, you'll just think that you hate each other and it won't work out. Okay.
Yeah. I sucked.
I'm done. Next scene.
All right. So before we get into the next scene, here's an ad from one of our collaborators. Transition. Transition.
Hey, are you a nerd? Do you like pins? If you're like any of our followers and you said yes, you should check out our collaboration with Pinfinity. They have Power Rangers pins, Transformers pins, and for all of our bronies out there, My Little Pony pins. Go check out our Linktree or use our code DSP to get 20% off your Pinfinity order today.
Thank you for that ad, whoever it was. So, next scene. A little bit of backstory on it. The Riddler sends a bomb to blow up Bruce Wayne, but Alfred
Jesus.
was there, and then he gets sent to the hospital.
Oh, that's right.
Yep. And then it's revealed that the Waynes have a shady past. His mom, Bruce Wayne's mom, was in a mental institution.
Me too.
Found that out. Her parents were killed in like a murder suicide. Lots of drama coming from the Waynes, even though they're seen as like this, very privileged, very top tier ivory tower like family, right? And then it's found out that Bruce Wayne's dad, Thomas Wayne, teamed up with Falcone, but not really. And then obviously Alfred kind of gets into actually what happened with his family and how he wanted to protect them, but at the same time, Thomas Wayne wanted to make sure it was done in a correct way instead of just trying to kill somebody, right? Because he didn't want to push those bounds, even though he wanted to protect his family. So now we're on to the scene. So what were your first reactions to the scene when you first saw it?
The first time, and the second time, and the third time.
Let's say the more analytical side.
The first time. This is really good.
Like, oh my gosh! Like, why is Bruce being so mean to Alfred? Like, validate him. He was a good dad. That was my first thought.
I mean, it's accurate.
Alfred was a real one to the end.
Yeah, in
that's
every
what
version.
I thought. Like, thank you. Someone validate that for me, please. Because, like, at the end of the day, Alfred sacrificed a part of himself to try to be that father figure and carry the guilt that he was not there to protect or help the Wayne's family when they got into that situation. So it's like,
right.
I feel for Alfred. Like, he's carrying guilt. He's been searching for answers consistently. Same way Bruce has. You're raising a kid that's not yours, that you don't have any kids at all. You're figuring out how to be a dad as you go, but you know how to be a protector, a provider, which is still the same thing as a dad. But I felt like I was happy in that scene from the first part that I watched anyway, that Bruce validated that, like, he was fearful of losing him, because in a subtle way that I was like, I love you, dude. Like, I don't want to see you go. But he didn't say it, but he said it enough, like, to where they both, could understand it. And so finally some damn emotion from him, from somebody he actually cares about. I was very happy about that.
I'm just like, pain, I have tears now. Tears.
It's like two men holding hands. Yes!
They did. Look, men in physical touch with each other. It's like, instead of like a fist bump or a quick bro hug, it's like, ooh.
So the other day, Spence, pause, story time. So the other day, I'm at my homegirl's party. It's a yay party because this person, survivor of cancer, and so it was fuck you cancer party. And so I was there with a bunch of the coworkers, and we're getting like, people are like, fucking women with hugs, like, oh, hug Nas, and I'm like, I'm pouring sweat, just goddamn it, we don't need the hug here, but whatever. So I do the thing, and then one of the homies is there, and I didn't want to hug anyone anymore, and so I patted his back and his stomach.
It's like,
No,
It's so awkward.
I was on the side of him. Instead of
Like
hugging
this?
him, I just literally just like patted him like this.
Oh my! Were you patting him down? Let me check you, fella. Let me see.
I feel like I
Let me
like
see.
Did he make a face? Like, what are
I
you
rubbed his
doing?
shoulder kind of, and then rubbed his stomach kind of. It was.
You're so. That's way worse than just a hug.
Yeah,
I have
I
no
would
idea
just fist
how it
bump
ended.
him and call it a day, or like he do a fist and just shake the fist if I was gonna be awkward.
I have no
What you
fucking.
did was like
I
I've
have no
never
idea.
rubbed a man's tummy in
I was
my
like, I don't want
life.
to hug anymore, and then I just rubbed him like a genie. I
Well,
don't know.
that was like your head poking out of the closet. You're like, let me see here.
Fucking social
Wait,
awkwardness.
We get a little
Uh,
practice.
I'm just like, fuck you
How
people
did
and
you
your
do the
hugs.
coordination? Because I can't even do it.
Yeah, it was Spencer. You would have literally died. You just would have been
Yeah.
like, I'm gone. I'm gone.
If I was filming it, I'd be shaking the camera. Like, and in the comments, I'd be like, "Why is the camera so shaky? Do you not see what's happening here? I'm laughing my ass off."
It was so bad. I have yet to bring it up to anyone. I will bring it up soon. So
That's good. You bring it on the show.
yeah,
Right.
yeah. Okay. Well, I'm just affirming all our neurodivergent people and socially anxious people out there. It's okay if you fuck it up. Okay.
Yeah, can't get worse than that. Let me tell you.
I just played in a man's bare-chested, hairy skin. I said that
Ugh.
wrong, but you know what I mean.
That was worse than a hug. I would have just did the hug.
Yeah, that was bad. Yeah.
Or you
It's
could have
play-
like chest bump.
it's playing in like a fresh meadow. Oh, I'm done. Okay.
You. Oh my god.
Oh, gross.
It was the best time of my life. I'm joking.
Of course it was. All right, moving on. Moving on.
Yeah,
Land
get
the
into the
plane.
scene. Yeah.
Land the plane.
I have no idea where we're at.
Okay, so let me ask a
Alfred holding
question.
hands. Batman.
There it is. Men showing.
You're not getting back to that. We can't get back to that. It's not going to happen.
Trying.
No.
We're
Okay.
trying.
I know where we're at now. I know where we're at now. Okay. So the men and emotions. Yep. And so I see that scene, and I wanted to talk to you about the imposter syndrome. I need you to. I'm going to do this sarcastically, so like, don't cancel me. I need you to preach about what is imposter syndrome.
The mannerisms. I want to say the name, but I won't. This knows the person looks like a hot Cheeto. For me, imposter syndrome is literally knowing that I'm more than capable and adequate, and I just self-doubt all up and down. I question, and it's like for a minute, it's not for like a day, but like maybe for like a small window of a moment where something will trigger it, and I feel like, am I capable of doing this? Can I actually handle this? Am I good enough? Like everyone else is doing this. Why am I not doing this? I start questioning my decisions, my choices, and I kind of like go in this shell and I like mentally sit there for a minute, and then it brings up my anxiety. So that's my imposter syndrome, and snapping out of it is kind of like playing a game, so to speak. Yeah, don't you making a face.
I'm not judging. No, that was a validating face.
Yeah, I do. It's like a game. So like I play Ocean Avenue. That's like one of my favorite songs. And then so it's like, I don't know how I came with it. I remember this in high school, but it's like, you fist bump your way through the through the anxiety and depression. So it's like it would just build up until it gets to like the chorus. It's like, and then all like my energy would come back. And then it's like, okay, now bounce it through. So I like start like, what is that? I'm not galloping, but we'll just say skipping for now. Mm-hmm. And it will bring like all the joy back or whatever. Like I feel like that was teenage fun again. And then it's like, okay. And then I start like replaying and repeating stuff in my head, positive affirmation, of course, and things that I do know. And then it like starts coming back to where like all those feelings go away. So it's just like a game, but it's not a game, but it's a game.
So, Spencer.
Yes.
Hey, this is your co-host Spencer, and I'm bringing you a special message from our collaborator, Silver Dollar Candles. They have great scents to go with great messages, just like Best Dad Ever, True Crime and Chill, and my personal favorite, When This Candle Is Lit, Give Me That. You can also make your own candle and message that fits you. So go use our link in our link tree to get your order placed with Silver Dollar Candles today.
I mean, not saying, I can't diagnose anyone, but this is neurodivergent bingo. We're getting close.
Oh
We're
my
getting
God. It's
close.
because of the song?
Some of the songs,
Like
visualization.
one tick away.
So
One
Is
more
this song
number.
confirmation?
no, it's not confirmation. You found a meditation, a visualization to force yourself into grounding. So this is what I work with a lot of my athletes.
Yeah.
If I would have known this, and let's say I was working with you when you're an athlete or in college, oh my God, would have made you a superstar in confidence. Your ACL, I can't fix that. So that's pudding.
Yeah, that was enough. I had
It
confidence.
is.
I was one of the shortest players, but I mean, look, don't
Oh, we would
don't
have
come
made
up
you
on me.
indestructible. Probably, you end up knifing someone, but you would have been indestructible. I'm sorry.
Good.
Yep. I'm joking. See that right there, though. When someone tells you a story like that and grounding and getting confidence, it's a wonderful story that I could build on, because I can see the visual and I know what's going on. I probably would have had you show me the movie or the song or whatever it was, so I could see it in my head, so I could further predict on what you're seeing and then building off of it. Imposter syndrome is overwhelming at time. It can last for years. As I was telling Mandii, it will last after your doctorate. It will last with your clients. It'll probably was there with your children. It was probably there with family members. It's there with relationships. It is that little demon on your shoulder that's like, remember, you're not good enough. Remember that you can't actually doing this. You can't do this, and you're actually a fake and a fraud, and everyone will find out. As soon as you submit the paper, as soon as you send that email, as soon as you open your mouth, they'll know. He knows from Batman. He knows. That is imposter syndrome, and it is so loud that it can be deafening. And specifically with folks that are neurodivergent or on the spectrum, many of my young women will doubt that they're on the spectrum. And they'll have imposter syndrome as soon as we give them validation of the diagnosis. It's not a thing, is it? Is it a thing? It's not a thing. I don't fit in this. Or the people, I'm not like those people, not like these people, where do I fit? I'm like, you're neurodivergent. And they're like, no, but it's just social anxiety and avoidant attachment disorder and personality stuff. And I'm like, oh, so it's all these 50,000 things, which is under the umbrella of neurodivergence. Got it. I'm like, yeah, so enjoy eating that cat food, but you're on the spectrum, kid. The imposter syndrome is funny. I remember when I had imposter syndrome about it. I said, well, this one person, this therapist said, it's not a thing. And I was telling my friend and how I like to lay on the floor. It's like, yeah, autistic people love laying on the floor. It's grounding. And he's like, that's a thing. And I'm like, what? They're like, yeah, laying on your tummy. I'm like, oh, so that's why when everyone's like in a gathering in a house, I just lay on my tummy on the floor, and people are like, what the fuck is the big guy doing on the floor?
It's comfortable.
Yes. So there's imposter syndrome around many different things. It could not just be your skills and talents and your abilities, emotions. It could also you just be neurodivergent. I was case study time. I've worked with some awesome humans, and I remember one human, badass. I can't give away any descriptors, but they're president at this facility, and not many people like them get this position. Person of color, woman, strong black woman, and so they go. I was sitting in this board of directors meeting from all these directors around the Midwest, and we meet in this place. And I walk into the room. I never met anyone more confident in my entire life. And she said, I walk into this room, and it's all white folk. And I'm just this little chocolate girl walking inside. I said, what? I said, why'd you reference yourself like that? She said, that's how I felt, like a little little girl walking in with all these faces looking at me. She said, I froze. All the shit you've been through, you froze? Couple weeks, she went to the next board of directors meeting, or directors meeting, president's meeting, whatever the hell it was. And I said, how'd you do, kid? And she said, I fucking knocked it out of the park because I'm a badass bitch. I said, there we go. There we go. Yeah, she is amazing. I'm always amazed by, I was always amazed by the individual. But then when they said they just turned into this little kid, that imposter syndrome is something else. When you find yourself in a room you're not used to being. A lot of people of color, a lot of women, a lot of queer folks. You're going to get a lot of neurodivergent folks that have the imposter syndrome, that hyperfixation, that OCD, that I'm not good enough. I'm not good enough. You're going to get some that think they're too good and that they're like better than other people, kind of like Bruce Wayne. But most of the time it's the imposter syndrome. That was the main story I needed to get to. Spence, did you have any specific questions for Mandii on this scene?
Yeah. So I would say that how does Bruce Wayne's mother mental health issue and her attempts to kind of cover it up, or his family tries to cover it up, how does that really resonate with his own struggles with identity and also mental well-being?
Well, the biggest thing, he didn't know. They kept all that a secret. And I feel like, even as a parent myself, when you hide so much from your child to become like this perfect figure, and then it comes to the forefront, it's bad. It's a shit show. They're gonna look at you completely differently. They're gonna question everything, like what was real, what was not real. Like, they have this image, this glorified image of you, and then they see the dark side that you choose not to show or even educate them on. And it's like, okay, well, who are you? But who am I? And for him, is that he had this glorified image of both of his parents, and never knowing that his mother even had any mental health issues, or even that, quote unquote, she was an orphan herself. It's like all this could have been avoided. Not the killing, of course, but more so a lot of his upbringing, if people would have stopped hiding it from him, just even little stuff, and giving him ounces of it when they know he would be competent to understand, it wouldn't have sheltered him so much to where he felt like he needed vengeance in another way. He could have defended his family name differently, you know. And with the Riddler putting him on blast, his whole family on blast, it probably wouldn't have hurt as much either. Like now he has to find his true identity, not just as Batman, but who is Bruce Wayne. And I really think the fact, I don't know, for me personally, like any issues that I have mentally, emotionally, I know that my child may pick up on it. So it's easy for me to educate and spot it in myself. And then when they do it, it's like, all right, now I know how to kind of handle this and how to address it instead of just sheltering it and brushing it under the rug. It's like, oh, you're fine. Nothing's wrong with you, blah, blah, blah. And my kid's having a whole anxiety attack. I'm telling him, you know, get up off the floor. You're okay. Like, your chest is fine. You're a boy. No. Like, we need to, that's the issue. Like, we're not addressing these things. And Bruce Wayne is like a perfect example of people hiding shit from their children that should have been addressed or at least mentioned. And I'm telling you, that part of the movie made me mad. I'm sorry. Because I was with him. Like, you could see like his body just, like his chest was just coming out of his suit, like when he saw those images, and it being public to people that some people knew but really didn't know. And it's like, now we're all finding out together. It's like, should I hide? Should I stay in the dark? How do I help people now? How do I carry on my name now? Am I still the Prince of Gotham with my mom having these issues and my parents dying and them helping out a rat? Like, it was just too much for him. So this is my take on it.
Interesting take that made me think of. And Pops will be fine with this. Pops doesn't like when I say certain things around family members, students. Back in the years ago, I said, you don't understand, because he thinks that people will judge me based on the things I may say about our past. And so it's happened here and there, but not too much anymore. But in the past, and they said, "You told him that?" I said, "Yeah." So I don't hide these things. I'm not ashamed of being poor or food stamps or some of these things that we may or may not have allegedly done. It is what it is. It's what got me to this point. And if it helps a student in this moment to see that I am not this pristine pedestal, this object to look up to, like a Martin Luther King-esque type of vibe. No, we're all deeply flawed individuals. And so I told this young man the other day, I said, I've done a lot of fucked up shit, homie. And yet I've been a really good person and helped you out not want to die. You can have two truths at once, that you could have been toxic and bad, and maybe I didn't have any choices or I had less choices. And so you play the card that you're dealt, and then you move on to a bigger and better life when you can do things and you're no longer controlled by the system. But people find so much shame in these things, and then they end up hiding themselves in that new mask of money and economic status and clout. When I'm like, Mandii, when you first came on, I said you can act like how you want to act. You can, you can hood it up if you want to, right? You can be a princess. I don't give a shit. You can use your intelligence, but be whatever feels good to you, but also protect your image. And so, but people could get lost in that image. And I think it's good to let your children know some of these things. It's okay if they know any horror stories. But I am not a parent, but I won't fully advise on that. But it's good for people to not see you as this pedestal, this perfection, because no one can compete with perfection. So why would you want your kids to see that? You should show your kids the struggle. That way they understand it. That way they're ready for adversity, instead of just thinking that it's gonna be easy. Oh yeah, I'm just gonna go to school and everything will be fine. No, motherfucker, it's gonna be terrible, and you're gonna want to die.
And that's how you raise narcissism right there.
Oh yeah, so you raise a lot of privilege. That's how you raise a lot of weaker-minded individuals. Because pause. I don't want to shit on anyone. A student said, "Nas, it's tough." I said, it's tough. Yeah. Can you imagine the opposite of this emotion that you're feeling? What are you talking about? The happiness and joy? Can you imagine how much more gratifying it will be now? I said, we're not happy about all the trauma and the damage that's going on. I'm just saying, can you manage the reciprocal emotion when you get to it? They said, yeah, it does sound good. It does sound good. I had many humans that have this imposter syndrome-esque, trauma-based type of vibe with their family members. And so here we're talking about Alfred and the imposter syndrome of him being a good father. And it sounded like he provided a lot of love, nurturing, taught him many different things. Fuck, man, that's most of these fathers out here. If we're being honest, like you were around, you were consistent.
You were present. It's not even about the money, just you being present.
So people
Alfred
will
was there.
People will look at me, and I had to live with. Anytime I would say my father's name, people would look at me, and there would be this judging look, and I never understood it. Most of them were scared, always scared. And then it gets out in 2001, and then we end up building a life, and it was hard. Never give it back. But people will still look at me like, how did you become this with your father? I'm like, he was not a monster, you asshole. Y'all just think he was. The other person that was doing these horrific things to me, they were the monsters. This dude's never did nothing but love me and showed up and supported me. Yeah, we went through some shit, but it was better than the other shit that I had to deal with. It's interesting on how these dads or parents think that they're not enough. When like, homie, you're gonna fuck them up. The question is, will you show them the love and consistent? Just be consistent. By the time they get to me in college, it's really about who showed up.
Yeah.
So that's why I appreciate Alfred. I appreciate the touch at the end, all jokes aside. And there's the imposter syndrome of thinking that you're not even a good mentor. And I think of myself being damaged and fucked up. But that's why my students love me. That's why my students feel comfortable with me and safe, because they know I'm not perfect. And I let them see that. And they're like, oh, shit, I can breathe with this guy. And as soon as you say some sketchy shit, oh, I'm calling 911 now, motherfucker. You're going, collect $200, you're going straight to jail. Joking again. Therapists have a very hard time, certain therapists, relating to clients or being empathetic and validating that parroting shit that they teach us. Oh, that sounds like it was really hard for you. Most of my neurodivergent students can tell it's bullshit and it's an act. You're not actually paying attention.
Yes.
And most of
hate
my
that.
black clients, brown clients, they'd be like, what the fuck? I already know I'm sad. I don't need you to tell me that I'm sad. Well, I want you to
Like, so
connect
I
with
see
your
you're feeling
emotions.
this way. Like, I was taught that. I was like, and I never use it. Just like you paraphrase and go, I'm like, no.
No.
That's the quickest way to piss somebody off. It's like you're not listening.
Yes, you're just saying some shit back. Some of my clients, my brown clients, people that have been through some shit, they want strategies, approaches. They want to be verbal
Yes.
jousted with. They don't want you to be like, I get it all the time. My neurodivergent clients is like, we didn't do anything. They just like listened to me. And I was like, oh, maybe you needed that. They're like, Naz, I needed help. I was drowning. I'm like, oh, okay. Well, let me know if I'm ever too much for you, because sometimes I'll push too hard. Like the other day, I pushed pretty hard. I said, I don't give a shit about how you feel right now. She said, what are you talking about? I'm not trying to make you feel better. I'm telling you some things, and I'm making sure that you are going to win and succeed in what you told me the very first day, is that you wanted to graduate with a PhD and fuck your professor. I said, that's the plan. So I'm going to get you to that level. So I will not just be nice to you to be nice to you. And I said, oh, well, I thought you were just trying to be nice. And I'm like, no, I'm being real. I seen their face. They were like, what the fuck?
See, you do a different approach. I'll ask in the beginning of the session, I'm like, okay, are we venting today and I'm listening? Am I giving you tools and skills at the end, or am I being hardcore and relatable? Like, my name is the relatable counselor, so I make sure I add that into each session. But how much do you want me to add it into the session? So I ask in the beginning, okay, how we feeling first before you get me? And then, oh, go ahead, bet. Opening the door.
You ready for this?
I got you.
All right.
Well, it's the best part though, because I want confirmation of how you want this to go. So if it goes that way and you're not pleased, I'm like, well, you told me to do it, so I still got your money.
Oh, Jesus.
He wrote it down. Got your money.
Yeah, I got your money. Well, this is the check, or this is the stub. No. What you do is actually perfect. For those of us that are paying attention, this is really good for relationships. I teach this to a lot of my men. Like, bruh, ask for consent. Like, we everything consensual around here, son. They don't ever act like that. I'm sorry. It's all consent.
You got vanilla ice over there? Consent, son.
Consent. Oh, I feel like Triple H right now. No, is whenever you're with a friend, partner, right, is in their venting, be like, hey, do you want me to provide support? Do you want me solutions? Yeah. What is it that you're looking for out of this conversation? You can ask that when you feel like it's your time to respond. As a neurodivergent individual, do not feel scared to ask that. Because they could just be like, I just need someone to talk to. And then they lay your head on you, and then you just kind of chill and vibe out in the moment. Or they'll be like, maybe I'm ready for some advice. And then you can go into advice giving if you get consent. And so as a counselor, that's a really good way to be relatable. He's like, all right, what's up? What up, though? What's going on? What are we doing? And they're like, you will not believe the tea. I just had someone, I had to cancel a meeting for Friday.
That's literally how it goes.
I just had a client email me all the tea. I was like, ooh, I got to respond to this. And
so spicy.
I had to. But so there's different ways to go about it. Because I read so many microscopic things and gestures, tone of voice, my neurodivergence just is able to exude things. I can tell where we're going. And sometimes I'm like, this is the knock on me, is that I will push us to where we need to go sometimes instead of where you want to go. Because there's a difference. There's places where they want to go, and then I'm like, well, you said you didn't want to talk about this, so that means that we need to talk about this. I'm like, fuck you, Nas, I don't want to talk about this. I'm like, well, so I guess we're done for today, or it's not that blunt, and my clients usually have a good bond and trust with me where we can go there. I love your approach. And I love that it's authentic and real, and it's also them choosing on where things go. And at times with me, I'm like, I'm the one with the degree. We need to go somewhere because the goal was to get you to prime, to alpha. And so that's where we're going. And to do that, we need to go through this trauma. There's the fear and deaths part. So he says, I'm not afraid of dying, but I'm afraid of getting close to people. A lot of clients that I work with, a lot of women that I work with, they're like, I'm done. I'm done trying to get close to people. I'm done trying to make friends. I'm done trying to find the right partner. A lot of my neurodivergent clients, they're just done with trying to connect to humans, period, because it just blows up. And I'm like, you need to find other aspect people, other neurodivergent people. You don't understand. They're like, where are they? I said, we're at Purdue University. They're all autistic. Just, you're running into the wrong ones. I feel like most of us will go through this if we've had a few bad relationships or deep losses. You don't want to connect anymore. You just tapped out. And I feel like I'm not going to shit on it. Whatever you got to do to protect yourself to get to the next phase in life, if you got to shut people out, fuck it. Just do it. I will never shame you for that. Like some of my single moms that I work with, we're shutting a bunch of emotions down because we just got to get through it. Whatever it is, and we just got to get through it. I'm cool with it. But I will teach students that doing that long term, I think, is not good. Because, you'll be protected and you'll never hurt and there'll never be any pain. But you'll never also feel that big love and joy, platonic or romantic. And in that coffin of safety, your heart will die. And because what you really wanted was connection. But I've changed. I'm like, did you though? Did you? I find that my clients really think they can shut everything off, but they really can't because they still want to connect. And they're just tricking themselves for a while. It goes okay for a while, but long term, it's not a real thing. I would hate for the people to be disconnected from everything for a long period of time because what's the point then? And now you're just going to be sad? Or maybe you'll have money and all this other shit, but what you wanted was connections. It's an interesting thing. Me and Spence talk about this type of stuff with relationships, emotions, what's the meaning to life and all that. And I add that into therapy. Because so much rejection that we get as autistic individuals, so much rejection as being black or brown in white spaces. And you're like, fuck it, I'm just not going to connect with anyone. Last story, and then I'll kick it back to you two. Told my boss before I took this new job, Spencer, here at Purdue, I said, I don't want to talk to anyone at work. She said, well, you have to talk to people, Nazir. I was like, I just don't want to make any more friends. Like, I just want to do my fucking work and get out. She said, you need to go to the parties or the social things. Hence why I'm starting to do that stuff now, because like technically I should, but she told me you have to do it. That's how you play the game. It's like, I don't want to play this game. I don't. Well, I mean, you might like the people, and I'm like, I don't need any more people. I have my people. She's like, we're going in circles here. I was like, yeah, well, fuck you too. It's not that it's social rejection. I just feel like I have enough, and so I cut others off, but I'm not cut off. I mean, Spencer, I sent you a Snapchat of me playing with Colin's baby on the internet, and it was 20, 30 minutes that we just played. I don't need anyone else. And so to other people, I can see they see me as very distant and cut off. But they're like, you're so loving and kind. We want you to hang out, but then you never do because I have enough. I don't want to hang out for your benefit. It needs to also be my benefit. And so I'm telling you, to many of you out there that are tired and burned out, it's okay to say no. Do what fits well with you. And you're like, oh, you're narcissistic. No. I'm protecting my safety and the people that I love. And I decided to be on Instagram chat with a baby for an hour today instead of hanging out and going drinking with people that I somewhat enjoy. So if you're neurodivergent, maybe that's playing with your toys, maybe that's knitting, crocheting, maybe it's playing video games, maybe it's reading a book and getting lost into it, maybe it's having a visual like Mandii and kind of zoning out, dissociating, and like gassing yourself up to where you're safe. but don't let others' social norms control you. So I wanted to touch on that. And just not going cold and then doing what you need to do to be connected, but authentically to you.
Mm-hmm.
So now I can put my list away. Mandii and Spencer.
What?
I'll go Spence first.
Oh, what?
What do you think about this? Because you're super nerd. Let's go with Batman. Is Batman
No.
like this in all the movies where he's dissociating, kind of cut off with everyone? And if so, why is that?
Because he doesn't want people to be hurt around him. Because he thinks that if they find out who his identity is, then the people that he loves will also get hurt. Right. I think it's that. And I also think it's like we kind of said before, he's already been hurt by a criminal in his past, by when his mom and dad were killed. And so now it's like he has this thing where it's like if he gets involved with anybody else, then he feels like he's going to get hurt once again, get that emotional connection. Is gone now because of his parents. And so that's why he was so frantic about Alfred. He was trying to call up his penthouse and be like, Alfred, because he doesn't want to lose Alfred. Right. And that's like one of the first times we actually see him actually being emotional. Right. So we actually see him being emotional and being frantic. Right. Because he's about to lose the only other person that he's ever really loved.
His father.
His father. And so, I think it's that, and we see it so many times, whether it's in video games, animated cartoons, or even in the Christian Bale ones. Like he's always trying to just be disconnected and not be Bruce Wayne, but rather just be Batman, because Batman can be on his own. He doesn't really need anybody else, really. I mean, he does have help here and there with other people, but at the same time, Bruce Wayne is the social billionaire that has to, connect with people and have to really kind of be with others. So, yeah, that's my take on it.
Mandii, how would you, Batman aside, but Batman, how would you, if you're working with a client, how would you help them get to the point where they could start to think about connecting with humans again? Because you're not just going to get them to do it. They're not just going to be like, oh, fuck all my trauma, I'm going to make friends today. That's like not a thing. There's steps to it to possibly think about it. So if you were working with this individual, let's say some of the same case studies as him, deep loss, doesn't want to lose anyone again, how would you get them to the next phase? I know I got you on the spot. I'm sorry. You're highly intelligent.
I
Otherwise, I
chuckled
wouldn't have
at
asked.
first because I'm like, I don't like people either. So I feel for the
Bingo.
Fuck all y'all. Fuck you.
I mean, okay, like personally speaking, like I love people, but I hate people because I know that you can think logically, you just choose not to, and that's what pisses me off about people. So I hate people. And of course, we're selfish beings. I do. My nephew's awesome.
See, because we're very logical individuals. We're emotional too, but like there's, logic makes sense to us.
You all's logic is logical. We pick it up differently.
Yep.
Or we pick it up slower. So it's like, oh, now I see what you meant. And it's like,
I've been telling you it's blue. You're like, no, it's black or gold, like that stupid dress. The logic is blue.
Man.
Oh my God. Yes, I saw this.
Yeah, he just got convicted of like murder. So.
Oh, I saw that. Yeah.
Yeah.
It makes sense.
Of his wife, who the dress was for.
Dude was a sociopath posting that on the internet. Yeah.
How did I miss this?
Yeah, it's intense.
Always comes back to get you.
But for me, I would usually validate that person for not wanting to have that interaction. And then I would say, what do you need to have it? Like, what attributes or requirements are you needed to have that platform to connect with another person? Is it like you need to be in a certain space? Do they need to dress a certain way or talk a certain way, have something in common? Like, what is it to where you're comfortable to even having a conversation with another person that you do not know or doesn't know you? And it's just like, it's like preschool, making friends in the first day of school. Like, what do you need? Is it a juice box? Is it a shot of tequila? Let me help you provide that. You know,
In preschool.
I mean,
Damn.
look, believe
You in
it or
the rough
not, the
streets of
way to make
Chicago.
friends, go. You know,
Hey.
when you go, you can't lie. If you go to a bar, you done met your new best friend. And
No,
there
you're
it
talking
is,
about a bar.
okay?
You can't go from
You
preschool
just
on this.
said preschool.
Yeah, you know.
I'm just
Yeah.
saying, I'm going based off what
Did you
I
learn
know
your
in my life.
ABCs today? I sure did.
I'm saying that the metaphoric term was just like preschool, how you come in, you don't know anybody, but like, oh, you're my new best friend. What do you need to have that interaction?
Well, you were.
Is it a juice box or is it a shot of tequila? Is
Yeah.
it in between? You know,
See, no.
what do you need?
Logically, you're mixing up the metaphor. All other neurodivergent people are like, "What the fuck?"
I'm going from
I get you. You're using as an analogy.
from a childish state of mind, or do you need to be all
Got
right?
it.
Do you have to be tipsy to even want to be in a space with someone else? Like,
Go ahead,
what do
Spence.
you need?
We do not support drunk preschoolers on the Different Spectrums podcast. We do not associate with Mandi's views on drunk preschoolers.
Yeah.
Wait,
I'm kidding.
Can someone
get drunk off of milk? Okay, I don't want to hear it.
I'm just saying, should we need to get CPS over there? Her kid just in the background. Hey,
That's why it's so damn silent now. Like you put a little
He's
drop.
still watching
Little drop.
Mulan and having his almond milk. Okay, he's
Yeah,
crazy.
sure. Kids
Yeah,
over there just vomiting.
almonds. Yes.
Kids yelling out, "Puke and rally!"
Oh God, I'm glad he's not talking and hearing that.
Thank God. Wait a minute. So I want to dive into what you said because I want to validate that.
Yes.
But
No, wait.
I would validate them not wanting to have that interaction first, and then go into what's needed to have it, and then tiptoe into that space to where they're ready to have those type of interactions. So it's really just building confidence back into themselves first, and then
Building confidence. I think before that, also, like you said, you got to find out what are your safe people, who are they, how can you tell. So that's when you work with clients. You know, is it black folk, is it white folk, is it brown folk, is it queer folk? So first you identify what population, and then it's in these interactions, what are the safety cues? Do they come off creepy? Is it the way they speak to you? Do they make eye contact? Is there any weird physical touch stuff? Do they get your funny jokes when you're being weird? Can you vibe together? And so when we were with our last human, me and Spence, Maggie, like I'm not gonna lie, Spence, that was it felt good to vibe with another human like that, and to know that they vibe with us like that, especially after all the things that we talked about and how, you know, we just don't vibe with people. It felt good to bring her joy. And to know that it was just a bunch of folks just having fun and neurodivergent. And she's like, well, don't take me mean or serious. I'm like, I'm not taking you mean or serious at all right now. I know exactly what you're saying and why. It felt good. So you have to find your people and find what are those little microscopic physical facial expressions, tone of voice, influx, you know, the time period between conversations and comebacks. There's so much that goes into it to find your people. But if I was working with you two knuckleheads, you know, Spence, I'd probably be like, okay, what are we doing? Well, we're going to find someone playing basketball, hanging out. And, oh, Mandii, I don't know about you. Yeah, you're probably going to be at a Comic-Con convention because you're like top nerd now.
Damn nerd. Damn nerd.
That, I mean, or go
you.
to a game. I think I actually, when I started going to like the hockey games down here, I started networking more and meeting new friends. And then when I would go to certain spots that had other like-minded business people, but who also can like drink or do cigars or whatever, I was like, oh my God, where have you been all my life?
Cigars?
I felt like me. Yeah, it's a
what
spot
are you, like
out here.
60-year-old white man?
No,
undercover.
my papi likes cigars.
Oh, that's right. You said he was Dominican.
Yes.
There
I
you
want
So
to
go.
make
I picked up
assumptions. We want
one.
to be like, Dominican cigars. Like, ugh.
Yeah.
So, but my dad smoked cigars all my life. So he said, when you turn 18, I'm gonna show you how to do it. I'm like, all right, whatever. And then he started like, oh my God, like, why do you like this? And then when I turned 21, I was like, oh, okay, I get it now. It's very chill. Have a little drink. Okay. I do it once a year. I had my once a year graduation. I'm fine with that.
There you go.
I'll
But
give it to you.
He's
there
like,
is a cigar spot down here where you don't have to smoke, but there are other professionals there that like to unwind. And I never knew it existed until one of the professionals brought me. And I was like, oh my God, I can be myself around other people who are in the business world. I was like, where did you find this place? They're like, it's been here. Like a lot of people just don't come at this time because like, they're either working with family or something of that nature. And they all come at this time to decompress. And we all were like, I was like, oh yeah, yes, totally. I was like, I'm coming back. So
that's
yeah, like
probably
that was my
one
cue.
version of Mandii that comes out, not all
One
version, because the version that we see here today is counselor / nerd / fan girl, where that one's probably a
Oh
little
yeah.
bit different, right?
Oh yeah, different
So
versions.
it's
It
good
just
to think
depends.
about that. Is there's different versions that we all show, and different versions that you can unwind with and have fun. I'm going to stereotype Pops right now. He's like, "Get okay, Mia, come over here, we're gonna smoke."
Literally. Yeah,
I
that
know
is
my races.
wild. You feel like
I'm glad you do. I know them
we'll
back
take
of my
shots.
hands.
Literally. But my dad, I won't get him into too much detail as his youth because it's very bad. But when he turned into an adult, he became Chicago Police Department. He just retired last year after 25 years.
Oh, wow.
And so that's how I catch myself doing what my dad is. That's what he used to decompress in Chicago, be around professionals and smoke cigars and stuff. So I kind of picked up on it down here. But yeah, I learned from him how to interact in different spaces. Like we can go to the block and he'll kick it with everybody, and it's like another normal. He can go, which we have a ranch. We'll go to a ranch and deal with the animals and stuff. Another way of decompression and connecting with people in that community and go to the rodeos and stuff. It's just he taught me to have multiple outlets and to have different spaces of myself in them to where I feel safe and not just one spot. So if one spot gets compromised, I know I can run somewhere else and still feel equally safe and around those people. So I typically preach have more than one space that you can be in. It's definitely good to be aware around it, but don't like overextend yourself. Pick 3 to where outside of your home, like you can go to. And so I picked that up on him. So that's like my dad's story. I'm done with the block. I can go back home and be on the block, but everywhere else though, you can catch me. You can catch me at a Comic-Con.
No,
you can catch me at a bar.
No, only blocks you play with now is Legos.
Bar
No,
Comic-Con.
you trade in your blocks for Legos.
Yeah.
It doesn't mess with Legos. We are into
different type of
dinosaurs
blocks.
right now. We are in dinosaurs and trucks.
I like dinosaurs too.
So, yes.
Oh, by the way, that 65 movie that came out with Adam Driver, I love fucking dinosaurs.
Yeah.
It wasn't bad. It wasn't bad. It wasn't awesome. At first I was very suspect. I was like, why do we need another dinosaur movie?
Awesome. I'm not watching it.
I actually liked it. I thought the story was kind of cool with the girl, and it had a very good spin at the end of it, which I would have never seen coming. On why it's called 65, and I'm like, what?
Okay, never mind.
Asteroid.
Today.
Asteroid. Yeah, it's pretty good. I just gave away pretty much the spoiler. So
the whole movie.
Thanks a lot. Appreciate that.
Spencer.
Yes.
Now you see how I done therapized the shit out of Mandii today. You know what I'm saying? I'm good at my job. I try 125. Put in the mail. I'll take the money now. Pause. I think this is a really good topic. Real quick, and then we'll get out. So we're talking about fathers, imposter syndrome, intimacy, relating to people, and then Mandii eloquently talks about the things that they picked up from their father and how to decompress, how to ground themselves, how to find connection. Doesn't have to be father, could be moms. But what are some things that you've taken? It could be on anything. What are some things that that you've picked up from your parents? It could be good or bad. Good or bad.
I said the good things, so say some good things.
Definitely road rage. Just cussing out cars.
Facts.
My mom is so it's just like, what the fuck was that? I'm like, oh crap, I got that now. Definitely work ethic. My mom works her ass off.
Yes.
So I think I got that from her. Just put your head down and just start working. That's a good one.
Any random little small things? Any like random little small things, nuanced things, not necessarily big things.
I got her facial expression when I'm like pissed off. Yeah, she's just like, just that like anytime she's pissed, she just frowns. She's just like
frowns. Oh God.
Definitely got that. Yeah, kind of stuff like that. I mean, the thing about my mom is like she has like her own stoic kind of way. But I can always tell when she's like uncomfortable or something because she does like this smile thing where she's just like. Sometimes I do that too, where I'm just like, this is uncomfortable. Right.
I've seen you do that. Yep.
Yeah. So I get those kind of things.
All right. Any quirks or any like trades, any like random things that you've implemented from them, like on purpose, or maybe I've implemented so many things. My father has fucking poisoned my mind. At this point, I don't even know if I'm like my own individual. I've mimicked so much. The other day, I saw myself doing this thing with my hands to get like the chip dust off of them, and I'm like, I've literally become my father.
Oh yeah, does do that. He does.
I'm like, what am I? Why does this feel so good?
This is right.
Yeah,
because before you'd be like,
oh my.
I still do that.
I wish I could just.
No crumbs left behind.
You don't know, but he has the dark saber.
That's
so
right.
He literally.
I rule Mandalore.
I'm not going to say what he just gestured because it's triggering, but it was funny.
If only. No boy, we'll rule Mandalore now. So yeah, I guess it's some of that stuff. Definitely like the facial tics. I get a lot of that from her. My mom's Irish German, so it's like when it comes to like emotions, it's like either nothing or everything.
Oh, that's
no
in between. I'm trying to do better with that, but at the same time, I'm also like,
yeah.
So yeah, that's kind of where I'm trying to get back into. With my dad, though, I definitely get his sense of humor, and his just like kind of quick-witted / I'm going to like talk shit like all the time. He's a Christian man now, so it's different, but not really.
You're a sinner.
Lord will forgive him quicker.
Yeah.
You're all sinners.
Sometimes it pops out. I'm just like, oh God, he's just such an instigator. It's hilarious. And of course, I'm an instigator, so
yes,
it's fun.
Oh, well, then you pick that up.
Yep, I love it's so much fun. Oh my God, getting people to like their peak, like pissed off is just.
You should see what he does with his girlfriend when just ticking on her anxiety. Or my best friend Colin, I'm like, stop doing this to your wife. So yeah, you're gonna go make me a sandwich, girl? And she's like, oh my God, I'm gonna murder you. And he's like, I don't even want a sandwich. I just ate. I'm like, why do you fuck with her?
That's terrible. That is the quickest way to getting punched. Oh my God.
One thing, she hates spiders, so she's like, I saw something on the wall. I was like, it was probably a spider. She's like, why would you say that? Why?
Yes, why would you say that?
It's funny.
She's fucking
not though.
Scaring her.
Like...
Scaring her is the best. So fun.
It is fun.
Menaces of society.
Oh yeah, I'm not a good person, so yeah, I don't care.
You're not looking at two good people here.
No, I am not the relatable counselor.
Batman's in the background.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, that's cool to see. The authentic selves. A ton of things from pops, from moms. We've talked about many times in the past. Good things, bad things, mannerisms, characteristics, sayings. tenacity, empathy. Last story, and then we'll close up probably. Colin texted my father an image. I think, yes, an image of the baby. And this was like a month ago. And I forgot about it, right? Because he texted me the image too. I didn't know that he sent it to my father. And I finally opened up the thing and I said, Jesus, dude. He said, what? I'm just sitting here crying in my office. I can't remember what it was, but it was just so beautiful of the baby that I started to cry. And then I came home, told my dad like 2, 3, 4 days later, and I said, hey man, Colin ever send you a picture of this one thing? He said, yeah. And he said, man, he said, I cried so goddamn hard when he sent me that. I know. And so my dad texted Colin immediately. I cried. And then Colin tells his wife that both of us cried at different times. And then she goes, why do you two cry so much?
Oh my God.
Oh.
And I'm like, you can say, and we're deeply emotional people, and massive hearts that lead us to do good things, to maybe do bad things at times. But when you've lived a hard life, and this isn't for everyone, and you don't expect to have any goodness or happiness at all in life because it's just terror, and then you get a nugget of love that you never thought you would ever see, your heart is literally destroyed in happiness.
Yeah.
And I think people don't understand that, and they'll be like, you shouldn't be crying. I'm like, no, these are happy tears.
Yeah.
The thing that I'm seeing right now brings me so much happiness. If I could die in this moment, I'm so happy. And I think that's one thing I got from my pops, because I remember being in a movie theater with my mother when she was alive. It was probably 2007. I'd come back home from college in Detroit, and I'm crying watching The Soloist. I'm like sobbing watching Jamie Foxx play the violin and Robert Downey Jr. as the journalist. And she goes, "What's wrong with you?" It's like, what the fuck does that mean? She's like, "Why are you crying? What the fuck is wrong with you?"
Wow.
And I'm like, okay, interesting. But yet, if I can do that with dad, dad's like, fuck it. His kid's having a meltdown. I have a meltdown. It's an emotional scene, right? Pops gets emotional with almost every scene in the movies. So it's amazing how some parents can validate and others can just demolish your soul, and you think that you're fucked up. And I remember talking to the boss at my old school at St. Mary's, and she goes, Nazir, you have a lot of mirroring neurons. I said, what the fuck is that? You're talking shit, huh? I'll stab you. Stab you
You
real
look like
good.
a mirror. What?
God.
Don't get stabbed, white lady. Mirroring neurons.
Once again, I'm just going to say this. We do not condone
Right, we don't
stabbing on
condone
the
this.
Different Spectrums podcast.
If you're not condoning preschoolers drinking, don't condone stabbing.
I'm glad you said that. It needs to be said again.
Yeah. We have to have that reminder at least once every podcast about stabbing. So,
And she goes, and this is what I end up. She goes, mirroring neurons. So some of us have more neurons that mirror other people's emotions, and so you may fall apart quicker. Many of my clients, I could just tell a story and I can change the inflection of my voice and they'll tank in my office, or they'll just, they can tank to anything. And some other people, stoic, completely unfazed. So I found out I wasn't crazy and I had a ton of mirroring neurons. That's why I cry to certain things, movies, songs, emotions. I pick it up from other people. Like when I see someone else do that, like that deep breath in when they're going to cry, I'm like, oh no.
I'm tanking. I'm tanking.
Baby girl, no. Sometimes I don't feel like crying at all, and I'll be like, squirrel. And they'll be like, what? I'm like, let's talk about.
I feel that.
Oh, I do it all the time. You want to regulate someone real quickly?
Yeah.
What you got to do the rest of today? I forgot. You said you got lunch with homegirl, and you got a test coming up, and then, oh, yeah. So if you ever want to regulate someone, get them to talk about what step by step what they have to do the rest of the day. Completely regulate them.
Tomorrow. I was like, wait, what?
Yeah. Sometimes, or this is a joke, but like they're getting ready to cry and be like, let's talk about how your boyfriend cheated on you yesterday, because I can't deal with your trauma. I'm joking. That's not a thing that's ever happened.
That's not traumatic in itself. Oh my God.
Yeah, I know, but at least they'll stop crying, then they'll just be angry.
Yeah, it's just like remember.
Or a mixture. Or a mixture of both.
Okay, let's talk about. I can't think of nothing but bad
You
stuff
can't
right
even
now.
think of anything good.
No, it's all
so
bad.
messed up.
Well, I got one client that I can just say the word turtle and she sees a turtle in her head, so that usually helps. I'm like, turtle,
good.
and she's like, turtle.
Like Master Disguise.
I'd be like, Harry Potter, Harry. All right.
Yeah, I would totally do that.
There you go.
For sure.
Well, with you, it'd be easy. I'd just be like, hold up one of my stuffed animals. You'd be like, oh.
See, there it is. Yep. Works like a charm. Didn't even mean to do it. It wasn't even. See, there it is. Yep. I bet money you could do like a 20-minute rant on each one of those. There it is. Yep.
It actually makes noises.
Does he?
Does he really?
Yeah, but it doesn't shut up for like a while, though.
Oh,
We killed it.
you killed the chicken.
Yeah, I like chicken.
Let's make some
It says
crack
press
chicken.
here, but it doesn't do anything.
Because you killed it. With him in that movie, he was the star.
Yeah, it was.
Care what anyone says.
Well, that thing won't shut up now.
That's good. Have a blaring chicken in the background now. That's good.
Yeah. Well, I'm
We
done with
wanna
all my
grate
stuff
you
and
here.
questions. If you want to finish and season us up before we go away in the oven, I don't know where I went with that metaphor.
What the frick?
Wow.
But
Okay,
chicken?
we don't also condone cannibalism. What next?
I was just gonna say it's like a good frosting on the cake before
Will you
give
just stop it?
Just-
Will you just shut up?
it. Would you like to baptize us?
Sometimes I just need you to shut up, and you never do. You just keep it going.
Any final words? Jesus Christ.
Oh my God.
Mandii, do you want to give off your last words? And then also, would you mind giving your socials, whatever ones you're comfortable with, website, things like that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because that ended so wrong.
We're
Final words. I definitely enjoyed this version of Batman, because like I said, it actually focused on him as a person. It showed how reliant he was actually on the mask and the identity, to where that was his real self, to where he had to figure out how to be Bruce Wayne. And I love that switcheroo. Definitely can't wait for the next movie by this director. I mean, he's literally like legendary.
Yep.
I didn't realize until I looked it up that he made like Planet of the Apes and everything else. I'm like, oh my God, no wonder I like this movie.
Yeah,
So-
Matt Reeves, what a guy.
Yes, glorious. Chef kiss. My socials, my Instagram is The Relatable Counselor, and my website is www.whhw.com, which is what had happened was.com. Don't make that face.
I'm glad you shortened it. I'd be like, I can't type all
I
of this.
wasn't gonna do it. Originally, I was gonna just have the acronyms for it. I'm like, they might think, what would Jesus do? So I'm gonna put the and then the rest, and then the .com.
Fair enough.
But on the Instagram, you can follow me on there. Click the link in the bio. It goes straight to the website. Also, my link tree. You can email me. I do have a business number to text. I'm a open book. Sorry.
Is this how clients can book with you as well? And what state do you work in?
I work in the state of Tennessee. You can actually officially start booking me come September, because I'm ending everything with the prisons August. My final day there is August 18th. I had to think about it. Okay. I had to prepare my inmates for me to go and walk them through that. That is definitely a process. I mean, I had 3 come in crying. So I know it's going to be a lot, especially for those who are not making parole and leaving within these next couple months. So I'm finding out a way to have communication without violating, because technically they can't have my number, or I can't come and be back and forth. Right. But you can write letters. I'm going to give them my P.O. box. There's nothing against that. But yeah, once I finish all those relationships and get everyone situated, then I will open up the private practice aspect come September 1st, and you are free to book me in the state of Tennessee. If you cannot book me, you can catch me at pretty much any mental health speaking engagement. There are not a lot for the Black and Brown community, so I do help set them up. I do facilitate it with other people, Black Mental Health Alliance, Black Health Tennessee Initiative, Nashville Thrives, etc. So anything dealing with low-income Black, Brown communities, pretty much expect to see my face. Okay, point blank, period.
Okay.
Or if you like sports, catch me at a game. You will probably see me screaming my head off. Just saying.
Nice.
Catch me outside. How about that? Sorry.
Literally.
I like to
With
make
that,
Spencer
thank you
cringe.
so much for coming on, Mandii. Jesus.
Thank y'all for having me.
Thank you so much. Appreciate you. Definitely would love to have you back again to nerd out. It'd be fun. With that, go check out Bubs Naturals, Cure Hydration. Also go check out our Pinfinity website, and then also go check out Silver Dollar Candle Company. You can get discounts off of Bubs, Cure, and Pinfinity. Just go to our link tree or use the code DSP and DSP20. Also go check out our self-help resources, so that all free, but at the same time, if you leave a tip, that would be great too, because Nas put some work in. It does help. And then go check out our merch. We have some really cool things on there. And with that, I'm Spencer. That's Nas. This is a Different Spectrums podcast.
All right, everyone. Take care. Much love. And I blew it. But yeah, take care of yourself.
Or don't.
It's up to you.
No,
I'm sorry.
do.
No, it's up to them. It's up to them. That's how we end it. It's up to you. They have the choice.
Is it?
You have the choice to be. Never mind.
Racist. Fuck.
Bye.
Choices.
I shall rule Mandalore.